Hey guys, we're back with another video on Health Technologies as they made a major acquisition announcement just yesterday. So I'm going to review that acquisition announcement, just talk over all the different points that they have, as well as give my opinion on what I think about this. If you guys want to stay up to date with what I'm doing in my Wealthsimple trade portfolio, as well as my Quest trade portfolio, you can check out the Patreon link down below. But there's no pressure for that. I'll continue to release my portfolio on roughly a monthly basis, and that update should be coming out very soon for the month of June. Without further ado, let's jump right over to my computer and talk about the new WellHealth acquisition that they announced yesterday. So going over the news release. WellHealth to acquire MyHealth and become largest outpatient medical clinic, owner-operator, and leading multidisciplinary telehealth service provider in Canada. So MyHealth Partners is a leading specialty care telehealth service and accredited diagnostic health services provider that owns and operates 48 locations across Ontario. MyHealth is a Canadian healthcare powerhouse that has grown at 40% revenues and EBITDA CAGR over the past 5 years, including a 15% organic growth rate over that period, and has completed 25 acquisitions in the past 8 years. So it wasn't all organic growth. We can see that 50% or 15% of their growth came from organic growth, which is a great growth rate. But the remaining 25% of the revenue and EBITDA growth came from the 25 acquisitions. Now, when we're going over the total number of clinics that WellHealth owns after this acquisition, it will be 74 combined clinics. And they will be the largest owner-operator of outpatient medical clinics in Canada. MyHealth apparently has 75% of the medical consultations are conducted via telehealth. So this is very important, I think, because this allows them to increase their reach with each clinic location they have. So no longer is a clinic bound by the number of patients they can intake in a single day. Rather, they can have patients come in remotely through telehealth, and apparently 75% of the patients are doing that right now. So the need for actual real estate to service customers has become a lot less, meaning that I believe the margins from MyHealth can increase going forwards in the future because they don't have that capital cost of rent. And if we jump over to Google Maps looking at MyHealth, we can see that some of the reviews say that this guy's like, I've been 3 times recently. Everyone was very friendly, professional, almost no wait time. Key thing, no wait time. And if you remember the last time that you went to a doctor, think of how long you needed to wait for your doctor's appointment. For me, it was about 20 minutes or even a bit more. Another review down here, they said, I have never had to wait more than 10 minutes. Just looking at all the different clinics that they have in Ontario, when I click on each one, 4.9 stars out of 16 reviews. This one has 4.9 stars, 66 reviews. This one has 4.8 stars, 177. If you go to downtown Toronto, 4.6 for a downtown Toronto clinic is pretty good at 144 reviews. This one over here, 4.4 stars and 267 reviews. 4.7 stars and 76 reviews. So these clinics are performing very well, providing great customer service, and people are loving the clinics. So from that perspective, I believe that WellHealth made a good choice in choosing MyHealth as the next acquisition. When we look at what kind of revenues this will add to WellHealth, it's going to add about $100 million of revenue, and 20% of that will be EBITDA. So roughly $20 million will become EBITDA. And upon closing, Well's combined revenue will be expected to approach $400 million and have a $100 million in EBITDA. So I would say this acquisition is not quite up to par as to what WellHealth normally expects from the EBITDA, because here, if we look at the total, 25% of their revenue is EBITDA, versus this acquisition that they're doing, only 20% is going to actually go to EBITDA. However, I think that WellHealth can actually help supercharge MyHealth to increase that EBITDA number over time. Looking at the purchase price for this business, it's a pretty big price tag to pay at $206 million. Not as big as the CRH purchase, but still a very sizable purchase for WellHealth. And I think this kind of reflects the company's size. As WellHealth continues to grow in size, there's no point in them making these $5 million acquisitions. Maybe they'll do them here and there if it's a tech company, but they're not looking to buy these small clinics anymore because that's not going to really make any sort of dent in the bucket of WellHealth's revenue. We can also see that it's going to be funded via a combination of WellHealth shares, vendor take-back financing, and a new senior credit facility. So looking at here at the price per share, I think this is very key. They priced their shares at $9.80, which is a premium over WELL Health shares now. If we look at WELL Health shares today, they're trading at $8.15, and this is 2 days after the announcement. Prior to the announcement, they were trading at $7.17 last Friday, and the announcement broke out on Monday when the shares rapidly jumped all the way up to, as of, today, the max price we saw was $8.30. So I think investors have taken a positive sentiment towards WELL Health based on this price of $9.80 per share in this acquisition, which further reinforces the previous round of financing where management also participated at $9.80. And we can see that this wasn't a full sector move. This is purely just a WELL Health move, because when we look at their competitors like CloudMD, we can see that CloudMD did not move in the past 5 days. It's been fairly flat. We can also see Jack Nathan Health, and this stock has also been very flat over the past few days. So these two competitors of WELL Health did not move at all upon this news. So clearly it was just a WELL Health thing when this news broke. Looking at the comments from the CEO, Hamad says, "The planned acquisition of MyHealth cements WELL's position as a foundational leader in the Canadian healthcare marketplace. Once completed, WELL will be the largest and most capable non-governmental owner-operated of outpatient medical clinics in Canada. WELL will have meaningful capabilities across primary and secondary care, along with robust diagnostic facilities and capabilities." So we can see that they're building an entire patient ecosystem. They can do primary care and secondary care and do diagnostics, and they have other capabilities, meaning that they can keep their patients within their own ecosystem instead of having to send them out to another specialist that's not part of their ecosystem. And this will further increase their knowledge of how the patient journeys through the healthcare system. MyTech is a tech-enabled and forward-thinking network delivering roughly 3/4 of its medical consultations via telehealth. To our knowledge, this will position WELL as a leading multidisciplinary provider of telehealth services in Canada due to the breadth and depth of primary and secondary healthcare service offerings, including a substantial telecardiology and teleradiology program. Looking at some of the stats of MyHealth, it was founded in 2013 and they boast 48 locations across Ontario. They have 760 physicians and other healthcare professionals providing patient services. For the 12 months ended March 30th, 2021, MyHealth recorded over 500,000 patient visits, including primary, specialty, telehealth, and diagnostic visits. The 5 key points to this acquisition as to why WELL Health decided to pursue it is 1, the extensive practitioner and referral network. So post-closing, WELL is expected to have one of the largest networks of physicians in Canada. MyHealth's telehealth services focus on telecardiology, teleradiology, and soon diabetes, kidney, and pain care. And this makes MyHealth the largest secondary or specialty care telehealth provider in Canada. And WELL will become the leading multidisciplinary telehealth service provider in Canada. They're not just providing primary care, which is basically going to your family doctor, but they're providing secondary care like these specialty services. MyHealth is also a very tech-enabled operation. MyHealth embraces digital tools like the Oscar EMR, and they're already using WELL's Oscar EMR. So I think in addition to using WELL's Oscar EMR, MyHealth is going to take up a lot of different other services that WELL Health provides, and therefore basically whatever MyHealth spends on those services will no longer go to a third party, but be kept within the WELL ecosystem, increasing the overall revenue and EBITDA. There's also going to be significant financial resilience and accretion. MyHealth has experienced strong performance during the pandemic. I think this is due to their telehealth first approach. With approximately 75% of their visits via telehealth, this allowed them to have a strong performance despite a lot of things being closed down and people being scared to go to doctors' offices. The last point that WELL makes as to why they acquired this company is due to their M&A approach. MyHealth did do 25 acquisitions over the past 8 years, so they have a very similar mindset to Health Technologies. I think it's very important that the management of MyHealth are aligned with WELL Health. WELL Health allows their subsidiaries to run independently, having the previous CEO serve still as the leadership in that company. But WELL Health just becomes the overarching parent company of MyHealth, just overseeing the more high-level strategy. If we look at the pipeline of acquisitions, they have a potential 125 targets in their pipeline currently. So MyHealth is not going to slow down. They're going to continue through to do acquisitions, and this will continue to expand the clinician network of WELL Health. Another reason why I'm pretty excited about this that's not explicitly stated here, this is just what I'm reading into it, is the fact that they're acquiring 48 clinics and MyHealth continues to expand. I know that physicians will possibly jump from one clinic to another, especially those that aren't clinic owners. Maybe students are coming into these clinics, getting used to the technology that they use there, and as the students go out and start their own clinics or join other clinics out there, they're going to have exposure to WELL Health's technology. And eventually they may become their own clinic owners. And if they remember their experience at MyHealth's clinics as a maybe intern, for example, WELL Health's name will be on the list of companies that they look at for the future technologies that they decide to include in their clinics that they open down the road. So I think with the additional 48 clinics, sure, we may not see a huge boost in EBITDA. In fact, it may be actually taking a hit on their EBITDA percentage of revenue. But in the long term, this is going to continue to build up their brand as a primary care as well as secondary care provider, and also a technology leader in the healthcare space for Canadians. Just earlier last month, Suresh Madden was featured in Industry Era's 10 Most Successful CEOs of 2021. And basically, he was preparing for a bricks and clicks future in the healthcare industry, featuring a greater marriage of online and in-person care. So he had the vision that he needed to build out telehealth in 2017 when he founded their telehealth division. He believed that you can't do everything remotely, but you can also do a lot of things remotely. So we can see that 75% of their visits were telehealth, but they still have in-person visits because you can't take biopsies or x-rays. And his goal was really to reduce wait times here, because that's one of the biggest pain points that he saw in clinics. And he wants to also improve efficiency and patient care. So think that when you have people waiting in the waiting room, just think about it. Everyone there is got some sort of sickness. So the last thing that you want to do as a sick person is to be waiting in a room full of sick people. Following the acquisition of MyHealth, Beacon Securities upgraded WELL Health. So if we go down further in this article, we can see that they have a price target, or they used to have a price target of $10, and they raised that to $12 now. And they have updated the recommendation to a buy. And the reason why the analyst proposed this upgrade was, first of all, this positions WELL as the largest owner-operator of outpatient medical clinics, which we know already. MyHealth's doctors already use WELL's Oscar Pro EMR. And the third reason I think here is the key that we should look at is this acquisition further enhances WELL's cash flow generation, which will enable the company to further advance its M&A growth plans with minimal share dilution. I think that you guys have noticed as shareholders that these companies started out small like CloudMD and WELL Health, where they had to dilute shareholders every time they did some sort of acquisition in order to raise money. But now if WELL Health has positive cash flow, which we know they probably will do with the acquisition of CRH that already closed, they should have positive cash flows. And with MyHealth, I believe they will also have further positive cash flows come in from this acquisition, meaning that they're going to have an influx of cash coming onto their balance sheet and being able to use that cash for acquisitions instead of raising money through share dilutions. So how the analysts decided to come up with this $12 price target was based on a 7 times enterprise value to sales multiple on calendar year 2022. And this is actually up from $10. And he actually had WELL Health at a speculative buy before, but now he adjusted his rating to buy. He believes that there is no longer as much speculation as before, and he just recommends a buy to his clients. So now comes time for my opinion on this acquisition, which I've kind of sprinkled throughout the whole review of the acquisition in the news. So I think this is a positive thing for WELL Health Technologies. I think the one thing that I really like the best is that WELL Health was able to convince MyHealth to take shares at $9.80. And this further solidifies management's belief that the shares are undervalued. And not only does management believe that, the acquisition company also believes that. So the MyHealth shareholders were willing to get shares at $9.80 instead of like the $7.10 that we saw last Friday. It would have been a bit of a blow if the share price announced in this acquisition was below $7.10. And this is probably the first time I've ever seen an acquisition done where the parent company was able to convince the acquired company to take shares on at a higher price than what it was trading at just the day before. And this is a significant premium. We're talking somewhere around 20 to 30% increase from the share price that it was trading at before the announcement was made. The second point I want to make is on their EBITDA, and just the margins of clinics are not as good as the tech side of Health Technologies. However, I think that the tech side of Health Technologies can help supercharge these clinics to make them even more profitable, as well as bring more revenue into the Health ecosystem, because these clinics will no longer be using third-party services, but rather they'll contract out to Health Technologies technology companies for services. And that will increase the revenues of these higher margin businesses, making the overall business of Health look a lot better and healthier in terms of margins. I know this may sound like a bit of a funny tactic to increase your revenue or your gross margins. However, you got to think about it this way. If they were to contract services from a third party, Health as a company would be losing money to that third party. But now Health can actually retain that money within their own network instead of sending it out to a third party. Because ultimately that money does come from the government when the government pays for these health services that patients are using. So the goal of Health Technologies is really to capture as many dollars from the government that's paid into these health services or even third-party health providers like insurance companies. My long-term outlook for Health Technologies is still, I believe this company is a long-term hold. I will be continue holding this for at least 5 years, and I think that we can see great capital appreciation. But the one caveat I have here right now is looking at the short term. I don't know about the short term where Health stock will go, and if you're hoping this news will continue to cause the stock price to increase to $9.80, I cannot give you an answer as to whether I think that will happen or not. But I do believe over the long run, the shares will get there and go even further, probably to $12, $13, or even $14 per share. I'm hoping that this investment of mine will at least be a 10x as Health continues to strengthen their ecosystem. With each acquisition that they announce and complete, they continue to strengthen the ecosystem of healthcare providers in their network. And in the end, this should only continue to further increase the gross margins of Health as an entity, as well as just build up the company to become larger and larger. But really, I guess I'm seeing Health as being one of the largest public healthcare companies out there in Canada in the future. So those are my thoughts on this acquisition, and I will continue to hold Health stock. Let me know what you're doing with your Health stock. If you're planning to sell, then really I hope you sell tomorrow or the day after, as we want all the paper hands out of Health stock, and we just want the long-term holders. And if you're planning to buy, let me know what your price targets for Health are. What's the maximum price that you'll pay per share? I'm going to throw up 2 videos on the screen right now. If you're there, I'll see you there. If not, keep up the grind and have a great day.